Hey everyone, my name is Jesse, and together with Cliff Gray and Pursuit with Cliff, this year I'm going to be working on doing a bunch of testing on broadheads. This testing is going to span most of the year and the seasons. I'm going to do a bunch of different real world testing, and part of that is testing when the environments are right for it. So rather than try and wait all year and compile one big huge video, I think that the proper way to do this is when the opportunity arises, I'm gonna do a test. I'm gonna put out some shorts that kind of show the results of that test. Throughout the year, I'll be releasing these. And at the end of the year, once I have all the data, we're gonna put it together. To kick this thing off, I just wanna start with saying a lot of this is gonna be testing done with a mechanical broadhead and a fixed blade broadhead. I really believe that one's right and one's wrong. There's a lot of testing out there by a lot of different guys. Some people say one's better, some people say the other. Personally, I think they're two different tools to be used in different situations. So I'm gonna try and use these different real world situations to know which tool to use for which job. One of the first things that came up, today I have the perfect opportunity to test it. As I'm sure you can hear and see with the trees around me, the wind today is ripping. Okay, so for today's test, I'm gonna shoot these three different tips. I got a field tip, a mechanical broadhead, and a fixed blade broadhead. Now, there's no way I can control the gust of wind or anything else. We're not doing this in a controlled environment. So what happens. I am going to shoot 5 different rounds of 3 arrows, and we're gonna see which one hits more consistently. I think that's the only way we can really do this. Each time we'll get a picture of the results. At the end, we'll compare them and see which one works better in the wind. All right, here we go. Starting first shot with a mechanical. I'm shooting at 50 yards. I think that that's a long shot, and I think it gives you a real accurate time for the wind to really screw up your shot. Field tip. And our fixed blade. Okay, well, interestingly, all 3 were off. What's not surprising, the field tip and the mechanical hit side by side, super close. They were both off to the right a bit, but pretty much the exact same distance. The fixed blade was off substantially from those 2. I mean, way off. So that was the first round. The wind was blowing pretty good. I don't know if it was me or the wind. We're just gonna rinse and repeat and try this a few more times and see what happens. Okay, I'm gonna try each time just to choose arrows at random. That way there's not a pattern in my first, second, or third shot. Keep this as random as possible, just like the real world. So here we go. First one, fixed blade. Mechanical. Field tip. Okay, so once again, all of my shots were off, none were great, which is not surprising at 50 yards and these high gusts. But once again, field tip and the mechanical, pretty close to each other. The broadhead was off. None of the 3 was great. So I can't say consistently which is better, but I can say that these 2 so far are much more similar. Rinse and repeat. Okay guys, round 3, they were all equally different than each other. The group was a little tighter, but the wind was a little less on that one, I noticed. I wasn't moving as much, so that's probably why. My all-around group was better, but there was no difference in the distance between them. That's number 3 of 5. Let's go again. Okay guys, that was number 4. That one again had no conclusive. The 2 broadheads were actually closer that time and the field tip was way off. The gusts were really bad that time. I was really having trouble holding it. I'm gonna shoot one more and then I am gonna try and shoot around in slow motion, magnified, and see if we can see the path of the arrow, because I have a theory on this. Okay guys, that was the 5th round, inconclusive again. My theory is the wind is not affecting the flight of these no matter which head is on it. Even at 50 yards, it's not in flight long enough to really change anything. It's the canter to the bow. When that wind's blowing, if you watch these videos, my bow's blowing all over. I'm trying not to punch the trigger, but when the wind's like that, you gotta punch it a little bit. I think this is what's causing everything to be off. So what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna magnify, I'm gonna move this camera, I'm gonna zoom it in and put it on slow motion. I wanna try and watch the path of the 3 different arrows and see if there is in fact a difference in the way that they fly when there's a gust. Okay, for this last one, I will not have the ability to record because both my cameras are set on slow motion. So just so you know, when you're watching them, I'm gonna shoot the field tip, then I'm gonna shoot the mechanical, then I'm gonna shoot the fixed blade. I'm gonna shoot these in slow motion, try and get the path and see if the arrows are flying different or if it is in fact just the release. Okay guys, quick recap in here out of the wind so you can hear me. From broadheads I was shooting. This one I actually did replace because I stuffed it into a foam target and couldn't get it back. But I was shooting these Montauk's 3-blade fixed. I was shooting a regular standard field tip, and I was shooting these Grim Reaper mechanicals. Now, one thing, I don't know how important it is or not, I did just notice on this Grim Reaper, and this thing's been stuffed into the foam a bunch of times. I've been pulling it in and out. But if you watch, one of these blades is super loose now. So you definitely not want to use that again. Again, not that the odds of reusing a broadhead are about 0 anyways, just thought that might be something that you guys cared about. So I wanted to point it out. All these shots were at 50 yards, really bad wind gust. What I gathered out of this, one, it's definitely true that the mechanical and the field tip shoot a lot more similar. They were usually right by each other. Even in the wind gust, even when they were both off, they seemed to always be both off about the same from the fixed blade. They weren't always, neither was better or worse, but there was always the 2 and then the other one, except for one round, but I had really bad winds that time, so it wasn't a great indicator. Going into this, I thought that the mechanical and the field tip would actually fly better. My conclusion at the end of this is that they don't. Pretty much everything just is gonna fly like shit in the wind. I don't have a recommendation on which to use in a windy condition. What I will tell you from doing this that I did notice, our wind was coming kind of trailing and to the side a little bit. I did notice that with that trailing wind, I was typically, my arrows were hitting high, and I think that was pushing them up. That was one consistency, is I was always high, no matter which tip I was using. So I did adjust for that, and it did matter. The other thing, I think the biggest thing with the wind is not your arrow in flight. I think it's the cant and the movement of your bow. I started to notice that right before I would pull the release, in the wind, that bubble was almost never where I thought it should be. So I'd be fighting the wind, fighting the wind, fighting the wind. The wind would stop, and right before I hit that trigger, me putting tension to fight that wind would cant my bow too far the wrong way, and then I would fire with my bow canted basically into the wind because I'd been fighting it. So then when the wind stopped, all of a sudden my bow came up here, and that's when I was shooting. I think the arrows are flying the same, whether there's a 20-mile-an-hour gust or not. Other than that little bit of lift in them, I don't think it's making the arrows do any crazy stuff like this due to the broadheads. These are my findings. I hope this is helpful to you guys. I'm gonna do more and more on these on a whole huge range of different things. Every chance I get in the real world, I'm gonna keep both of these tips in my quiver at all times when I'm hunting, when I'm target shooting. I'm gonna try different scenarios. At the end, we'll compile them all together into one big comprehensive video, and you guys can watch that. Until then, I'll try and get the content out to you on a regular basis. Thanks, guys.